Okay, today I'm talking about this little thing, Godox Lux Junior. I bought this thing back late February. I was going to Vegas to photograph lasers and blazers party after WPPI, and it failed me. I had to use a different flash, and then I had this idea to use this flash on a night photo shoot in Vegas with a couple, but it also failed me and I had to use a different flash. And I was so close to being done with this piece of technology, but I actually fell in love with it after I paired it with my Sony RX1 later that month. But there's actually a reason why it worked this way and why it didn't work for me the first two times. Let me explain. If you are new around here, my name is Magic. I'm a destination wedding photographer. I've been shooting weddings for over 12 years, and 3 years ago I started this YouTube channel to talk about weddings, cameras, and lenses. So if you're interested in weddings, cameras, and lenses, make sure to subscribe and stay with me. I'm posting content every week here on this platform. So Godox Lux Junior, a very compact, retro-looking and cheap flash unit. The price of this unit is $70, $70 for this little flash. Super cheap. It's a nice build, like a plastic build, but sturdy, powered by two AAA batteries, or what I like to call them AAA batteries. And it operates in two modes, a manual or automatic. The auto mode is actually more of a gimmick because it's not communicating with camera in any way. It's just using this tiny light sensor right here on the front to determine, how much light output should it go for, but it's not very consistent at all. The manual mode you can control with this big knob here. It goes from full power, 1/2, 1/4, 1/8, 1/16, 1/32, and 1/64. There's also this little wheel here on the knob to help you determine the power of the flash by using, the distance, aperture, and the ISO you're using. On the right, we have two slave modes, but to be honest, I have not used it at all. I don't have any other Godox stuff, so I'm pretty sure that probably works with other Godox things. And on the left, we have sync port, so you can actually use a sync cable if your camera doesn't have a hot shoe. If your camera does have a hot shoe, no matter what brand of the camera you have, no matter what type of the camera you have, digital, film camera, it will work. It's a standard hot shoe, and it's a manual flash, so it's just gonna work. Oh, and there's a nice little LED light right here, so if you turn it on, you will see it's popping red right now, so it's charging the flash. When it's green, it's charged and it's ready to fire. And also something that I didn't know before is actually a button as well if you want to use that flash and trigger it manually. Okay, so what is my experience with this flash? I bought it for the trip, as I told you. So I was going to Vegas for WPPI, and I was also asked to photograph a party, a lasers and blazers party organized by my friends. And so for this reason, I thought I'm gonna try to use some, smaller gear. My regular gear to photograph a party would be Sony A7 R5 or A9 Mark III right now with a 24G master and a big flash like Profoto A1 or A10, but this is pretty heavy equipment, so I thought I'm gonna use something smaller. I'm gonna go for a compact version of it because it's a trip, it's not a wedding. I don't have to use my wedding equipment, so I loaned Sony A7CR from Sony with a 24 f2.8G lens. So this is a very compact, built a set of camera and a lens, and I was just googling for some small flashes, and this one was the one that popped on Google, and it looked perfect. It pairs perfectly with A7CR and 24G. Just look at this, it just looks amazing as a combo. So I thought this is going to be perfect. But just in case, when I was loaning stuff from Sony, I also loaned a backup flash, AGL28, and I'm actually super glad I did, because this is what I ended up using at the party. Why? Because after a few quick test shots with the Godox, I realized it will not work for the party. Obviously, the power output is not crazy. It's a small flash, but also it's not that bad. I've done some tests here at home, and shooting, full power of this Godox Junior is actually something like 60 to 70% of power of my Pro Photo. So like for such a small tiny flash, it's not that bad. The problem is that when shooting party like lasers and blazers, I usually go for higher f-stop, low ISO, and I have to actually use my flash. So my typical flashes I would use at 60 to 70% of the power, which is with this flash full power. And using this at full power, you need time for it to recycle. So with the fresh batteries, I'm going to show you, with the fresh batteries, I popped fresh batteries inside. When using full power, I'm going to press the button, power, and you see, it's red. You're waiting, recycling, 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 done. Okay, so it's like, what was it, like 2 or 3 seconds? After a series of photos, it gets slower and slower because the battery, they drain. And then in the middle of the night, it's like 10 seconds you wait to trigger a flash, which is not ideal. Obviously, you can have like a pocket full of batteries, but at a party, when you want to be fast, I want to be fast at the party. I want to capture the moments. I want to go like from one moment to the second moment to the third moment. I want to be, I'm in the game. I'm in a zone. I don't want to wait for my flash. So this sadly just didn't work. I switched to the small HVL Sony flash, and it worked flawlessly. It was just firing time after time after time perfectly without any problems. These are some photos from the party with that bigger flash I used. And if you want to learn how I use flash for my wedding photography and how I managed to develop the techniques to shoot those parties with over 80% rate of keepers and bangers like this, check out my Flash Magic online course. It's a self-paced 2 hours. You're going to learn everything you need to know how to photograph weddings and parties with a flash like this. It's great. Highly recommend. Magic approved. Like, I made it. I approve it. Okay, so for the party photos, Lux Junior, not the flash I'm looking for. So I decided to try it out for some night portraits with my friends Jenna and Pavel. So Jenna and Pavel, we met in Vegas, and they took me to Old Vegas, and we went for like a little couple shoot. There's like a whole video when we went to the desert, like a behind the scenes of me shooting A7CR in the desert with them. You can check it out right here. And in Old Vegas, I took first few shots, and I already knew I'm not feeling it. It's like it has exactly the same problem. Like, obviously for a single shot it was working, but anytime I was trying to do something more, it was not. I tried to do some walking shots, and because of that slow recycle time, the flash was firing only 1 time per couple shots. And I even wasn't going super fast. I wasn't firing like 10 frames per second. I was just, I wanted to capture the walking shots. So obviously walking shots, they do require a couple photos in a sequence. And yeah, you can see most of the photos were not lit at all. So I switched to HVL 28. No problem at all. It was just firing, photo after photo after photo. And just so you have the reference, like the Sony flash is not that big as well. It takes 2 AA batteries, and like even with those 2 little batteries, it just works better than this one. But obviously it's slightly bigger than this one and 4 times more expensive. It's like around $250 instead of $70. So, it's a difference. Okay, I was almost done with that flash. Like, I almost decided to give it up, being like, nope, this flash is not going anywhere with me. And I decided to give it one more chance. One more chance. I was heading to Rome to host a workshop with my friend Cole. And before I share this story with you, how I managed to make it work, I have to give a shout out to my sponsor, the sponsor of this segment of the video, which is PicTime. PicTime, if you're not using PicTime to deliver your photos to your clients, you're just missing out on so many features. First of all, it's just beautiful. Beautifully looking gallery that your clients can easily share with their friends and family. But then for us photographers, it's just packed with features. Features like built-in store with labs from all around the world, so you can connect your galleries to specific labs. So if your clients are from a certain place in the world, you can just connect the local labs to them, so they're ordering from the labs that they're just nearby. And they can just order it from the gallery with one click and get it shipped directly to them. So you don't even have to touch the products if you don't want to. The only thing you need to do is set it up and just take the profit. Then you have a slideshow tool with licensed music that you can use to deliver your photos in the form of this beautiful, form of a slideshow that is beat matched to the music. It's great. I use it for every single wedding I deliver. Then you have a blog tool to create great looking blogs and simply embed them on your website. And my recent favorite feature is the face filter. So your guest can now see their faces of the people that are in the photos. And with just one click, they can find themselves in these photos. Like, this is a total game changer. Check out PicTime and make sure to use code MAGIC to get extra month off. Okay, back to the flash. So this time I decided to pair the Lux Junior with my Sony RX1R Mark II. So obviously this is a great looking combo, like this, sorry. It's like this. It's small, it's tiny. So like, it's a perfect flash for Sony RX1 because Sony RX1 R Mark II does not have a flash built in. It worked. It finally worked. Two reasons why, actually. First one being RX1 is my slow mode camera. So I use it mostly in a single shot mode, and also like it's just a slower camera to focus, slower to operate. So because of that all, slower pace and workflow of shooting, you don't feel the waiting for a cycle flash as a problem, because you wait for a camera, you wait for a flash, and it just works in this scenario. Still, obviously, when doing like some walking shots, I did have a couple photos that, I clicked twice and just, flash trigger once. So, there's gonna be scenarios that you're gonna be missing shots if you're using this at higher powers. But here comes the second advantage of pairing this with my RX1, is that RX1 has a leaf shutter, meaning it can sync flash at any, shutter speed. So that means I'm able to use this combo outdoors in a full sun and not shooting full power on that flash, because I can just crank up my shutter speed to 1/2000 of a second, 1/4000 of a second, darken everything, and then I don't need that much flash to just bring some light into the scene. So when shooting in Rome, I was using that flash at 1/8 and 1/4, so not even full power, so less time for recycling, and it was just working perfectly. Now you can see these photos, they are fire. The photos are fire. I added my flat magic preset. They look more, film-like. And that flash just worked really well in this scenario. And after that photo shoot in Rome, I decided to bring this combo on my weddings as my third camera. So my two main cameras on my moneymaker on both sides, and in the middle, I was just using this tiny camera as my direct flash, setup. And I'm just so happy with the results. So, do I recommend the Lux Junior by Godox? So for those of you who are pros and you're looking for a flash to, shoot parties, shoot weddings, shooting your big camera, shooting your fast action, obviously this is not for you. This is a toy. This is not going to work. You can get exactly the same result with any different flash that is just gonna have a better, performance. It's gonna be faster to recycle. It's just gonna be more reliable when shooting things like weddings. If you get this, you'll just only get super frustrated to keep waiting for it to recycle. Obviously, it will give you the results because it's a flash, it's a nice light, it's a nice direct light, but there's no way around waiting for that recycle time. If, on the other hand, you're looking for a flash to maybe use it with your film camera, film cameras are way slower. Obviously, you have to manually focus, you have to wait for a camera, you have to shoot, you have to rewind. So obviously for a film camera, this is going to work great because you're not shooting fast. You're not shooting a couple frames per second. You're not shooting a couple frames one after another with your film cameras. Or if you're using cameras like Sony RX1 or maybe X100 series, so cameras that have leaf shutter, so you can take the advantage of that, sync speeds, and you can shoot with this flash at lower power and just have it paired with a small camera like this and shoot with it to get these direct flash photo looks without having a big flash on you. This is going to work really well for that. And because the price is like ridiculous, it's super cheap, you can just get it and play around with it and decide it if it's for you or not. Hope that helps. So this was my journey with this thing. Let me know what flash are you guys using, what are you shooting, so I can know. You can either comment or DM me on my Instagram. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. I will see you very soon. Bye.